Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Dafuq Did I Just Watch? With your host, as always, McLemore. This week we'll be recapping and reviewing the latest horror movie, Smile. Now, before we start the review, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and feel free to comment any movies or TV shows you'd like to see reviewed here at Dafuq. Now, if you haven't seen Smile and would still like to, make sure you pause now and return later, as there will be plenty of spoilers up ahead. That's right, this is your official spoiler alert. Now let's start things off with the synopsis to the film. After witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter begins experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her frightening new reality. Smile is both written and directed by Parker Finn, and the cast is relatively small. Starring in our lead role is Sosie Bacon, who you might not recognize as she doesn't have a ton of filmography under her name yet. She is the daughter of famed actor Kevin Bacon, so I'm sure we can look forward to many more years of seeing Sosie Bacon. The film also stars Jessie T. Usher as our lead actress's fiancé in the film. You may recognize Jessie from his work on The Boys, starring as A-Train. The film also stars Gallner as our lead actress's former boyfriend and also our lead investigator in the movie. The film also stars Penn, most notably recognized from his work in Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. Let's talk about some of the performances in the film. Sosie Bacon, daughter of the great Kevin Bacon, expectations could not be higher. It's tough to judge her acting. I feel like 70 to 80% of her performance is just being terrified and screaming a lot, so tough to judge the acting ability when it's mostly just fucking blah, like being terrified. Having said that, her performance in the more dramatic parts of the movie are very well done. You can tell that there is some talent there. I'm sure she's gotten plenty of tips from good old dad, and it must be nice being only 1 degree from Kevin Bacon. Jessie T. Usher was fine as well. I want to say that his performance echoes that of A-Train on The Boys. It was a very similar kind of character. He's kind of like the jerky fiancé who doesn't believe his future wife is losing her mind. Penn showing up as well was a little bit of a surprise. His performance was fine. He's not in the movie a ton. He plays the boss of our lead character, Sosie Bacon, and he plays it fine. He's just a regular doctor throughout the film, and he's not in it a ton. And his performance is mostly just like, hey, are you okay? You look kind of tired. Like, hey, I think you should go home. You look kind of tired. That's mostly him through the movie. And so now we come to the part of the review you've been waiting for. The part where I tell you if Smile is really scary or not. And the answer is a little bit complicated. Is it scary? I mean, technically, yes. On paper, I suppose, yes, it is checked under the scary category. But how does Smile achieve all those scares? Well, they basically crank up the volume and scream in your face after boring the hell out of you for like 20 or 30 minutes. This movie is, the ratio to boredom and scared is way out of whack on this one. There were a few moments throughout the film where I caught myself looking at my watch thinking, surely it's been like almost 2 hours. Surely we're reaching the climax of the film, and then it's only been 1 hour? There's a few parts of this movie where it slows down and it's hella boring and there's nothing scary happening for so long. And then finally, when there is something scary, it's less of an earned stare and it's more just like, blah, staring you like out of nowhere, and you're just like, oh, Jesus, okay, you got me, I guess. And the film begins to suffer when all of its scariness comes from just jump scares. After a while, it begins to shift from just being like, "Oh, you scared me," to like, "Okay, Jesus, now I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed because you're not really even trying to scare me. You're just turning like the volume way down. And then we scream in your face." Like, it feels a little bit cheap. I mean, we're talking about it like a horror movie, so I mean, like, that is something that I feel like happens in probably every horror movie that's ever made. There is a big jump scare moment, but it's limited to like maybe, I don't know, maximum 4 or 5 at the ultimate max. And this movie is like nothing but giant jump scares, which is a little bit disappointing with something so interesting as like the creepy smile, or the haunting smile, or like it's presented at the beginning of the movie when she's talking to her patient, like, oh, I'm seeing smiles everywhere, like people on the street, and I'm seeing my grandpa who died in like World War I. And it's like, okay, I'm looking forward to seeing her walk down the street and there's being like a creepy guy just standing there like looking at her. Or maybe she's like watching TV and like the news guy's like, so later tonight, like something like that is kind of what I was expecting. What you get is, like, if anything, the smile concept of the movie is like underplayed. Like there is like smiley moments, but like there's even a part where she's like looking out the window and she's like, there's somebody looking up at her, but she's on like the 200th floor, so it's like an ant staring up at you, and it's like, I guess I'm pretty sure they're probably looking at me, but it's hard to tell. Like put her on the 10th floor so we can get a better look at the person. And then let's talk about Kyle Gallner playing our lead detective / ex-boyfriend who's like on the case. And let's talk about how ridiculous it is that like it took this long for anyone to notice this chain of like insane suicides. Like the only way the curse is passed on is if like somebody witnesses the person kill themselves in a crazy way. And there's a part in the movie where he's like looking through some files and he's like, hey, wait a minute. This person saw this person kill themselves. And then 3 days later, they killed themselves. And then the last person to see them alive, a couple days later, they killed themselves. And then it's just like a chain. And he even says, like, I got like a 20-person chain here. And it's like, really? 20 people have committed suicide all within like 3 to 7 days of each other, all having like just witnessed the previous person kill themselves. And it's like, finally, somebody's like, you know what's weird? All these suicides are just like within a couple days of each other, and they're all just on this fucking chain that's like pretty easy to follow. There were certain elements that did seem promising. Like I said, the smile thing was promising. There's a part where she gets a phone call from like the security operator, and then there's a part where she's like, look behind you, Rose, and it's like, ooh. But then when she looks back, there's like nothing. So it's like there's elements that are interesting, like the big whatever you want to call it, the boogeyman, the Baba Yaga, the Babadook, or whatever it is at the end, the cursed being that's like haunting her. When it's revealed at the end, it kind of takes like the form of like her mom, but then that kind of shifts into like this big CGI monster, which looks interesting at first, but then they give you like a real close-up on the face, and it's just like, oh, that's just Marilyn Manson. That's just Marilyn Manson making like a cameo appearance in this movie. I don't know about scary. There is a part when like the final mask of the monster is revealed, and like that part was very interesting, and it's just like, where was this like throughout earlier in the movie? Like, bring this up earlier. There are certain elements that are also predictable. The ending is a little bit predictable. It is easy to see it coming. It's got the classic fake out, like, I did it, I defeated the monster, and then like, but did you? Huh? So let's hit smile with our overall rating. Overall, most of the performances are very average and nothing really jumping out or mind-blowing about the acting in this movie. And most of the scares are not really creepy or terrifying. It's more just blah screaming in your face when you least expect it. And when Smile isn't sneaking up and jump scaring us, it's boring the hell out of us. So maybe that's the strategy behind it, to really catch you off guard and really bore the hell out of you, and then just like crank up the volume and fucking blah, blow your ears out. I mean, technically that counts as scaring the shit out of me when you just like crank up the volume. Overall, we're gonna have to hit Smile with a solid D. Most of the movie is a bit boring and slow, especially for a horror movie. Not to mention the story. I mean, we mentioned earlier about Deputy Dog over there finally discovering the chain of 20 plus people committing suicide. Little parts of the story that are just like, okay. That combined with slowly all like jump scare after jump scare after jump scare slowly starts to become a little bit more irritating than actually like scary. For all those reasons, coming in a bit below average. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and if you felt differently about Smile, make sure you comment down below. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Dafuq Did I Just Watch? I am your host as always, Kyle McLemore, and we'll see you next time at the movies.